I don't know if you guys remember this, but back in 2021, it was confirmed that a Thundercats film was under development, with the project being helmed by director Adam Wingard, who had not yet become famous for his film Godzilla vs. Kong at the time. Well, I certainly remember, and you know what else I remember? I recall being absolutely hyped about it, because the man claimed to be a fan just like you and me, and said all the right words that you don't always hear from out-of-touch Hollywood people. Not only is this film going to be the first real film adaptation of this storied franchise, which has been around 4 decades, but it is also going to break boundaries with its visual style, the likes of which would do justice to the original TV show which made the franchise famous. If you were like me, a kid who grew up with the Thundercats and other shows of that era, this was another part of our childhood coming to life on the big screen. However, 5 years after its announcement, the film still seems to be under development. In this video, I will explore the rich legacy behind the Thundercats and why this franchise deserves a film, the prior failed attempts, what exactly Adam Wingard and his team have promised, and what is the current status of this much anticipated film today. So, without wasting any more time, let's dive right into everything we know about the Thundercats reboot film. Let's begin.
Sword of Omens. Give me sight beyond sight.
The 40-year legacy that made this movie inevitable. When I look back and think about my time as a kid during the late 80s, I have a lot of fond memories of some great shows that have now become massive franchises globally. I think those of you who are around my age will agree that the era of, as I like to call it, the Great Toys War, where corporations were churning out one cartoon after another to sell their merchandise to children, produced animated shows at a frequency and quality the likes of which have not been replicated since. I mean, we had the likes of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, He-Man, and the Masters of the Universe, and Transformers, just to name a few, all coming out around the same time. However, amidst these juggernauts, there was one other name that shone equally bright during that time, in my opinion, and which still continues to have a steady fan base even today. I'm obviously talking about the super hit animated TV series created by Tobin Ted Wolfe, aka Tobin Wolfe, that debuted in 1985 called The Thundercats. Tobin Wolfe gave us a series that had everything in it: high-stakes drama, great action, unique and layered characters, and an interesting setting, which is why almost every kid like me during that era instantly gravitated towards it. Don't believe me? Then allow me to give you a small glimpse of what the Thundercats were all about. Thundercats follows the story of a group of humanoid felines called the Thunderians, who dwell on the planet Thundera. As their planet is dying, the Thunderians attempt to flee to a new world called the Third Earth, in order to start afresh under their young leader, Lion-O. Unfortunately for them, they are attacked by mutant marauders from the planet of Plundar, who seek the Eye of Thundera, which lies within the Sword of Omen, an important symbol and artifact for the Thundercats. Even though they somehow make their way to their new home after making great sacrifices, Lion-O discovers that while his body has matured in stasis during the long journey, his mind still remains that of a child. Following this, we are given a coming-of-age story of a young king that is, I believe, both epic and unique as he tries to carve a place for his people in this new world. Unfortunately, he is constantly impeded in his noble cause by Mum-Ra, an ancient lich-like foe who covets the Eye of Thundera for himself and will stop at nothing to possess the artifact to enslave the Thundercats along with all sentient creatures. Over the years, the story has received reboots, with each retelling tweaking the plot ever so slightly. Regardless, as you can see, even from this gist that I provided, which hardly does the series justice, why it would appeal to so many people. As the years would roll on, the lore would be expanded upon, with new foes and scenarios that our heroes must overcome. Which brings me to my point. How on earth have we never gotten a proper Thundercat movie even after nearly 4 decades of this series? Let's say that you just happened to click on this video by chance and knew nothing about the Thundercats. However, I'm sure you have heard of the names of its contemporaries that I mentioned earlier. Sure, I can sit here and argue with you about just how big Thundercats is compared to those franchises, but one thing we all agree on is that it was undoubtedly as influential as any of those titles. So if they have gotten a film, even if most of the cinematic adaptations have not really been up to the mark, then why hasn't Thundercats gotten its time in the sun? Well, if you watch this video till the end, you will find out that it has not been for a lack of trying, and also why things might finally be looking up for the franchise in this regard. The CGI movie that died before it started, 2007 to 2011. Before I talk about why things are looking up for this franchise, let's take a stroll down memory lane with me. The year is 2007, and finally there is a buzz in the air for Thundercats fans as Jerry O'Flaherty, the art director for the acclaimed video game Gears of War, has just been announced as the director for an upcoming Thundercats film by Warner Brothers. Hang on, I haven't even told you the juicy part yet, because this Thundercat film is set to be a fully CGI movie that will push the boundaries of computer-generated animations and the franchise to new heights. Fast forward to today, and you will be hard-pressed to find one person who has heard of this film. But I think you told us that the franchise had not gotten a single film till date, man. It's probably what you are thinking in your heads. You are right, because this film never saw the light of day, and by the looks of things, that was probably for the best. You see, after going AWOL from public view for almost 4 years following the initial announcement, test footage from the film would make it online. Let me just tell you, they did not look remotely flattering. I understand that they are supposed to be merely test footage, but if that is the look they were going for, Lion-O and company, then it's fair to say they missed the mark completely, in my opinion. The test footage includes Lion-O and Slithe, and for some reason, they decided to make them look kinda edgy, for lack of a better word. I feel like the creators really struggled with translating the animation from the TV show to CGI for whatever reason. They could also have been pressured by the suits to update the product for a more modern audience, leading them to create this version of the characters that just feels so out of touch with what the fans really want. We were also given a glimpse at the Sword of Omens, but I think at this point I've made my point and feelings clear about this CGI attempt. The funny thing about this film is the fact that it has never actually been pronounced dead officially by Warner Brothers. I think the people behind this project have managed to quietly shelve it, and now we are supposed to pretend that it never existed in the first place? Well, it technically didn't exist since it was still under development, but you know what I mean. Adam Wingard, the creative team, and why this one's different. Well, let's talk about something that looks more set to exist than the unfortunate CGI venture I just covered a minute ago. Many of you might know Adam Wingard as the director of the Godzilla vs. Kong movie, but what many of you might not know is the fact that Adam is also a genuine hardcore Thundercats fan. In a candid interview, Wingard revealed that he had actually written a 272-page long script for a Thundercats film all the way back in his high school days, just to cope with the original show ending. Finally, we have some actual fans taking on franchises that they love and turning them into love letters for their fellow fans. With Henry Cavill taking on the Warhammer 40k universe and Adam Wingard now on Thundercats, I feel a change in the wind regarding adapted films. This is also the biggest reason why I think it will be different from the previous failed venture, because this time around, there is some genuine passion behind the project. Adam has also stated that fans can look forward to the film staying true to the original animation, about everything from the setting to the costumes. If I recall, he seemed to stress particularly the fact that the costumes will be exactly the same as we see in the cartoons and the toys. The creative team behind the project, along with Adam, has said that the reason they have decided to opt for the hybrid visual situation is because they want to avoid another Cats. For those of you who don't know what this means, they were talking about the 2019 film Cats. And that is something you should be happy about, because according to Ricky Gervais, the only thing worse to happen to actual cats other than that film was dogs. So I'm really happy that they are steering clear of the Cats formula. There is one other thing that Wingard has promised fans, and he has been very clear about this, which is that the film will be a throwback to the 80s cartoon and not to the later reboot. His co-writer, Simon Barrett, seems to be convinced that the world will be blown away by Wingard's take on the Thundercats. I'm just hoping that this film, which Wingard claims to be his dream project, doesn't turn out to be a nightmare. Every delay, pause, and setback, 2021 to 2026. Having said all that, this was way back in 2021, and 5 years later, there hasn't been much made public by Adam Wingard and the people behind the scenes. Granted, during an interview after the release of Godzilla vs. Kong, Wingard did say that his next film was going to be the Thundercats film. If I recall correctly, in that interview, he says that he had to put the script for Thundercats aside temporarily, as the production for the MonsterVerse movie had begun at that point. Wingard said that now that it was over, it would be all hands on deck for the Thundercats film. Now, rumor has it that Barrett and Wingard are completely rewriting their scripts once again. I think that this is the reason why the film has barely made it to the earliest stages of production. As the years have gone by, the updates have slowed down to a trickle from Wingard and Barrett. We do get the occasional hype soundbite from Simon now and again, but this silence has left fans like me clutching onto straws. I think everybody knows that movies are not made overnight, and that it is actually a long and tedious process for things to even reach casting and actual production. I, for one, would rather have them take as much time as possible and cook up something brilliant, than rush through the project and give us something like the latest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle films. I think one of the main reasons fans have been so patient with the entire thing is the fact that Wingard claims to be one of us. He has garnered a certain amount of goodwill with the fans thanks to his claims, which cannot be denied. I hope that we at least get some sort of casting announcements soon, because the internet is going wild with speculations. Hollywood projects are no strangers to setbacks and delays, but I just pray that it will be for the best. It's 2026 now, and like I said earlier, communication regarding the film has all but dried up ominously, in my opinion. In some ways, maybe the announcement for the film was made too hastily, because now everyone who is even remotely a fan of the Thundercats is patiently waiting for the film to come out. However, patience is a commodity that can run out pretty quickly if the fans are kept waiting for too long in the dark. The Henry Cavill rumor and the AI trailer that fooled millions. As the information from the people behind the project has been bare bones, recently, fans have begun to take matters into their own hands. For instance, I remember a couple of years ago being absolutely hyped about a trailer I saw about this film on YouTube, only to find out that it had been made using AI. There was this one trailer that became particularly famous, featuring our favorite nerd, Henry Cavill. With Cavill bouncing from one fantasy series to the next recently, and being the chosen nerd of the people, it wasn't any surprise to me that he would be linked with this film as well. Unfortunately, these seem to be mere rumors generated due to hoax videos making rounds on the internet. There were other trailers as well that featured several A-listers like Hugh Jackman, Jason Momoa, and Paul Rudd, all of which have been debunked by several major outlets. While I absolutely hate AI slop videos, I kinda take the hype generated by them in this regard as a positive. This is because I believe that it reflects that the people are actually still very much interested in Adam Wingard's film. There would be no reason otherwise for people to be so excited over any piece of media content that comes out pertaining to the movie, even if it turns out to be fake. The people behind the film have starved their future audience due to their lack of communication, and while I think that in the short term it has whetted the people's appetite for the film, in the long run it could quickly turn to apathy if not addressed properly. I hope that it never actually comes to that, and the film, which is supposedly Adam Wingard's dream project, doesn't remain just a dream. What do you think? Will this new Thundercat film ever come out, or will it be another disappointment? Let me know in the comments. Personally, having been burned before because I kept my expectations too high, this time around, I'm cautiously optimistic. I think this is also the perfect point for me to end this video as well. I hope to see you soon at the next one. For now, though, it's time for me to say goodbye. Until next time, stay safe